Guys of Reddit, what was your most awkward boner situation? So I must have been young and not fully aware of how my body worked yet, I suppose, but I have a very distinct memory of my dad telling me one morning that I should take some time and relax before I come downstairs. Apparently I had a habit of coming straight from bed to breakfast, morning wood and all. Looking back, I have no idea how I wasn't conscious of this. Your dad probably had enough of you passing by and sweeping his coffee off the table. Passing notes in 7th grade, talking dirty with this skater chick. The teacher catches me receiving the note and asks me to stand at the front of class and read it out loud. With all eyes on me and no time to do the old boner tuck into the elastic band of my boxers trick, I stood up with my sticker pecking out. The only good that came from that was I didn't have to read the note out loud anymore. I still cringe about sometimes. You were asserting your dominance. I used to get a boner in the bath back before I knew what it was, and I raced Hot Wheels up and down my dong. Those were awkward times. Look at Mr. Long Dong over here. His dong's longer than a Hot Wheel. In college, on the swimming team, we had a 4-lane competition pool with bleachers for the fans on the other side from the teams. We had a groupie who wore short skirts and no underwear who would sit on the front row with her legs open. It's hard to hide your reaction under a Speedo. We quickly learned not to look anywhere near her when we had a race coming up. Got my first boner, while awake at least, at my 10th birthday. Don't know what the reason was, but sometimes dongs don't need a reason. Got upset when I couldn't push it back in and started crying. When my grandma asked why I was crying, I proclaimed to her and everyone there, my penis turned to metal. Luckily, it's only talked about at every single family gathering we have had after that, so the shame is limited. Maybe it'll make you feel better to know my young niece, 5, once announced to the family, after disappearing to the toilet for a rather long time, that she just found a hole in her butt. Great holiday conversation. It still makes me laugh though. Literally anytime I was in middle school and class would end, I have no idea why, but the random boners always happened about 20 seconds before the bell. Lots of walking with my backpack in front of my waist. There are three kinds of erections. Some are sexual, some occur during periods of nervous tension, but there's a mysterious third kind that no one really understands. It happens when your schlong decides to take matters into its own hands. Got a raging boner in class. Teacher asked me to read the blackboard. I couldn't, because I had bad eyesight. She told me to move closer. I said no. She said again, move closer. I said no. She told me to get out. I walked out. 9th grade, first period gym class. I dozed off in the corner of the gym before class started. When I woke up, the gym teacher was yelling at me to line up for roll call. Everyone else was already lined up on the other side of the gym, all quietly watching me. As I began to stand up, I felt the telltale tightness of morning wood against my gym shorts. I panicked, and before I could finish getting up, I fell down face first and started army crawling across the gym. My gym teacher asked me what the heck I was doing. I yelled, "My foot is asleep." He just sighed while the entire class watched me drag myself across the gymnasium for what was probably about a minute, but felt like a week. Smooth. Army crawling is normal and everyday way to move. Freshman year of high school, wrestling practice. I grabbed a sweatshirt from one of the bigger weight class guys, put it on. It was like a tent on me, and I just got up and left. You don't want to be getting a no reason erection in an all-guy Catholic high school's wrestling class. I did not wrestle for a Catholic school, but I did wrestle. My coach's opening day speech was something like, erections happen. It's just friction and adrenaline. Take a moment. Anyone who laughs gets laps till they stopped. There were always a few giggles when one happened, but no one full on laughed. Swimming with this girl I had known for years but just started dating a few days before. We were having fun playing games in the water and she wanted me to throw her up into the air and she laughed as she came splashing back down. That was all well and good, except that her swimsuit was made from this super silky material I'd never felt before that made me perk right up as soon as I felt it. I can't explain it, it just made her curves feel so much more sensual, and I felt it each time I grabbed her to throw her in the air. So there I am, so solid it hurts, as I grab her and pull her close to me in preparation for lifting her, except my boner pokes her stomach and she definitely notices. Her eyes got all big and she gasped, and I threw her as quickly as I could, more sideways than up. When she comes back up she said we should go get our towels and cool off, and I thought that would be an awesome idea since we were both pretty taken aback and I was super embarrassed. Except that leaving the water was a terrible idea. See, I didn't realize that my swimsuit would suction itself to my manhood as soon as we got out of the water, which it did. As I move my hands to cover it up I look at her and she's watching from the corner of her eye. I don't think I've blushed so hard in my life. While we did date for a year after that and it's not as bad as some of the other stories here, it was definitely the most awkward boner experience I've ever had. And a huge thanks to anyone who might be able to tell me the material that her swimsuit was made of. And a huge thanks to anyone who might be able to tell me the material that her swimsuit was made of. Now I wanna know too. I have no idea why this happened, and I imagine I'm gonna get some weird comments, but as a teenager I would get one almost every time my family pulled into church. I would always take a while to get out of the car and say something like, "Oh, my Bible is in the trunk" or something, so I could do the old waistband trick before walking in. Priests hate this one weird trick. Oral presentation in 10th grade history class. Thank goodness for that dang podium. Getting a scalp massage in a hair salon might have been too relaxed. While a senior in HS I got a boner at the homecoming dance while grinding on the dance floor. My date proceeded to rub her hand on my crotch. For some reason I took that as a cue to unzip my pants. She stuck her hand in and started stroking my dong. The entire time her friends are standing a few feet in front of her and one of them is having boy drama. Suddenly the girls leave to go to the bathroom and at the last minute grab my date's hand and drag her with. As she is getting pulled away the hand that was in my pants comes out along with my penis. Next thing I know I'm standing alone on the dance floor with my dong out. Luckily it was extremely dark and it happened so fast that I don't think anyone noticed. Alone on the dance floor, with my dong out, is my favorite Fall Out Boy song. My wife and I were on a flight to Amsterdam. I'd had a quick nap and had just woken up as we were coming into land. I had a raging hard on for some reason. I turned to my wife to tell her. She finds the whole thing hysterical and keeps prodding at it when nobody can see. The thing won't go away. It's getting around to the time when the cabin crew are making sure everybody has their seatbelts on. My missus is still in stitches next to me as I awkwardly flip up my boner into my waistband before the crew gets to us. I was still at full mast whilst walking through the airport. The waistband trick can be dangerous. In high school PE class my erection flopped out. I was trying to do a pull-up and I guess the weird body movement moved my shorts down. Because my erection was at the waistband it flew out like a jack in the bow. My most awkward one was when I broke my leg right beneath my dong. The nurse was kinda hot and had to shave my leg cause I needed an operation. She accidentally touched my wiener with her breast and I couldn't keep that dank thing down. I was terrified something like that would happen when I had my balls ultrasounded because my junk basically got massaged with super warm lube. But it was being done by a 50-year-old hairy guy. No boner, thank God. Went to doctor when I was a teen. One of my testicles is much bigger than the other. Just wanted to make sure everything was okay. New woman in clinic. Kind of young. I tell her about my nut and she says, "Alright, let me get a look here." Now I didn't have a problem with dropping tro, but after I pulled my boxers down, sitting on the medical table, she bent her face down as she held my balls, and the tip of my dong hit her nose. She looked up at me and blushed. My dong was waving high now at this point, like an inflatable arm waving tube, and as I tried to exert willpower over my boner, I have no idea why she did what she did, but her face was that of I just really fricked up. I pulled my pants back up and she told me I should get an ultrasound. That was fine too. Boop. In HS one day I was sitting on a heater in the hallway with some friends, and I couldn't tell you what gave me the wood, but at that age it could have been a stiff breeze. Regardless, I did what I thought was a reasonable job of hiding it when out of nowhere a girl I knew grabbed my hand and says, "Ozymandias, come here," quick, and drags me down the hall and around the corner as I'm doing the three-legged race the whole way, trying not to let her notice. She proceeds to go in for a big hug while I stick my butt out as far back as I can so as not to let my shame be discovered. But damned if she doesn't glance down afterwards with a confused look on her face. I was mortified. I felt even worse after the 2 or 3 years it took for me to finally realize that she had seen it back at the heater, did it all to feel my dong against her and was confused when she didn't, and I acted like a moron. Unless you're alone, they're all awkward, but standing up after sitting for a long time at church is the most awkward for me. Unless you're alone, they're all awkward. Speak for yourself. I would get anxiety boners as a young teen. My mom drove me and every morning on the way to school, there it was standing to attention. The more I thought about it, the harder it would get. I just prayed no one noticed the trouser snake going down one leg of my pants as I walked to class, but I'm sure they did. I used to wear boxers because I wanted to be cool like everyone else in gym, but they did nothing to hide those random boners. Switched back to something tighter because I got tired of being at full mast and nothing really helping me hide it. As a pallbearer in my grandfather's funeral. Morning wood. High school, all 4 years. If erection lasts longer than 4 years, call a doctor. I once got trapped in a hotel hot tub with a raging hard-on because my girlfriend teased me, on purpose, and then left. It took about 20 minutes for it to go away, so that I could walk back across the crowded Disney Resort pool deck. When I had my wisdom teeth pulled, a lady before the surgery took place came in and gave me this medicine to help with the pain. She started caressing my face to relax me. I had a massive woody though, couldn't really hide it, didn't think she'd care. She was smoking hot anyways. It was middle school, and I sat towards the back of the class. I had a boredom boner, and that's when my teacher called me to her desk at the front of the room. I had to act fast, so I covered it with my school book. Halfway to her desk, the teacher says, "You don't need your textbook. Go put it back on your desk." I froze in a panic and stopped in my tracks. I ended up right next to a girl sitting at a desk, whose face was basically crotch level, with the attention brought to my book. She looked over and saw what was going on. I'll never forget her whispering to herself, "Oh my god." I feel like teachers need to take a boner awareness class. Got an unexpected boner when talking with my coworker and she went for a hug. I'm 100% convinced my penis touched her thigh. She was in her early 50s and kinda attractive and had some nice thighs, which would explain the erection I had. Fell asleep in gym class waiting for the teacher to show up and take attendance. Woke up a few minutes later to some laughing and discovered my dong was tenting proudly in my gym shorts. Tucked it under my waistband and went back to sleep. Nothing ever came of it until senior year when someone asked, "Aren't you the guy who got a boner in gym?" and played it off like it was nothing? That was impressive. Just goes to show kids, if an embarrassing situation comes up, just own it and move on. I was a kid, I think 8 or 9 at the time, maybe 10. Hadn't started puberty, but it was the start of those random boners. I remember they just happened sometimes and thought nothing of it. Did my best to ignore it and just move on with whatever I was doing. Then one day we're standing on the platform waiting for the train to come in and my mom asked my dad what's in his pants. "It's just a boner. Relax honey." And I looked down and sure enough, I had one. From that moment on I was self-conscious about them because my mom made a big deal about it. Aren't they almost awkward? From the early years, 13, 14 and the doctor's office for my yearly physical. Also at that age where they are doing checks to make sure everything is descending and developing properly, so I got the full gown on. I've got asthma, so my physical involves a few extra breathing tests usually handled by the nurse. And this year the doc had gotten a new nurse. She looked like she could have been Fairuza Balk's sister. Same big smile, those smoky blue eyes, pale as snow, slightly bigger chest. I've got a thing for quirky women, so right around the breathing test where every nurse ever, even now when I'm close to 40, takes the deep breaths with you, I'm watching her chest when I'm supposed to breathe cause teen, and well the gown now had a tent. We both knew it. She just went on with the tests and went to go get the doctor for the rest of the visit. Doc comes in, I'm a little embarrassed, few jokes about being young and all is good. Then he sends her back in to give me my yearly flu shot and I swear my dong popped up faster than a switchblade. Door open, saw her, my dong went up. First time meeting my stepsister poolside. Word of advice, flex a muscle for 60 seconds. After then or close, the boner will fade. Underrated comment. Works especially well with your thighs, just flex them like you are trying to squat a car. My first girlfriend ever was this very hot blonde. I used to wait for her outside her school and she always received me with lots of kisses that obviously made my friend go erect. I thought no one noticed until someday at a party her girlfriends told her that she should just hug me because it was so awkward to see my boner from yards away. It was so awkward and weird. I mean, I want to check it out every day without fail, but ugh, so awkward and weird. When they got older, my mom and dad slept in separate beds. My dad had sustained a serious shoulder injury years before and created several reasons for this arrangement. However, when I saw the master bedroom door shut, I knew that they were both in there talking, so I needed to leave them alone. To get to the master bedroom from the small room my dad slept in, you had to go by my room. One evening I walked out of my room headed to the bathroom. As soon as I walked in the hallway there was dad, making his way to the master bedroom in his tightly whities, with a raging boner. We looked at each other, he looked down, I looked down, and there it was. We quickly moved aside, choosing the same side a few times before finally getting past each other. Wasn't my boner, but it was still pretty awkward. This happened when I was in 3rd or 4th grade, when I was just going through puberty, and random boners were frequent. This particular boner was unfortunate because I had to stand in front of the class and read something off a sheet of paper. I didn't want the class or the teacher to see my thimble of a boner, so I decided to hold the sheet of paper in front of my crotch while I read it to the class. I was pretty confident my idea worked. When I finished reading, the teacher asked me to stay standing in the front of the class. She said that I did a great job holding the sheet of paper down low so I could see the class better and the class could see me better. I then handed in the paper and went back to my seat, with my unrelenting pubescent boner not being shielded by a piece of paper. Once I sat down, the girl next to me asked if I held the paper there to cover up the little bump in my pants. I just shrugged and looked the other way. When I was little, before I had even the slightest clue what sex was, I used to get little random boners from time to time. And apparently, I had noticed some sort of pattern, because one night when my mom was tucking me into bed, I asked mom, "Why does my pee-pee feel hard sometimes?" and she said, "I don't know, honey. Does it hurt?" I said no, but it only does it when you're around. It's one of those memories that haunts me every time I think about it. Freud would be proud. Sprang a stiff one while watching Zoe 101 with my sister back in elementary school. Victoria Justice was hot, goddammit. Hugging my date, and this was one of my first real dates. She said the classic "is that an X in your pocket" line. I was blushing for hours. There's a kid in my class that got a boner in PE, in high school. He was wearing sweatpants. It was really embarrassing. So this post goes out to him. I was that kid 3 days out of the week. I was a frisky 12-year-old. You have been visited by the strong skeleton. He wants you to like this video and have a good week. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.